Are we... Yeah? Testing sound. 1, 2... No? No? Okay. James. Do you go by anything other than James?
Not anymore.
Okay. James. Where are you from?
Kansas and Alabama. Kansabama.
What is that?
Well, I was born in Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple. But my dad was in the military, so we floated around a lot. Alabama, Kansas, Germany. Alabama, Kansas, Germany.
Got it. Kansabamany. And when did you move to New York?
9.5 years ago. For school. Theater school.
So that's what brought you here? School?
Well, that and getting out of Kansas.
Had you always wanted to live in New York?
I don't know. I was a weird little kid. Bossy. I was gay. A lot of people didn't like me. Most of the people who aren't well liked moved to New York. And I left while I was in college. I had to get out of there. Kansabamany. Try to, at least, make something of myself. Do something. Be something. I sure as hell wasn't getting anywhere by doing nothing.
I'm from Long Island, but I moved to the city about 10 years ago after high school.
Why?
Are you serious? Why move from Long Island?
No, sorry. I mean, why did you move into the city, Katherine?
I guess I needed to be freer, Be with exciting people who like to have fun. As a kid, I would come into the city with my mom after she and my dad split up, and I would look up at the buildings, and I always wanted to be over them. I had this fantasy of sleeping over the city like I was the Empire State Building, like somehow I could conquer it,
And how long have you been waiting tables?
On and off since I turned 18.
And what's your level of education?
I have a master's in education and speech pathology, and I'm a certified ESL instructor. Seriously.
I came to New York in the fall of 1994 because I wanted to make it as an author. I wanted to be the next great American novelist, and I thought in order to do so, I had to become a depressive alcoholic and live in New York City. And I did all of that. Now I'm just waiting on my Pulitzer. No, the short of it is I got a job at a small publication. It was supposed to take off.
What happened?
Didn't take off. I mean, I would have moved here regardless. I'm from Michigan, and that ridiculous job just gave me an excuse to move here.
I'm from northern New Mexico, just outside of Albuquerque. I mean, outside of everything, really, on a goat farm.
In Albuquerque, really?
Outside Albuquerque, yes.
When did you move?
Well, it's been years now. I moved with my then boyfriend. I went to school and I majored in business. After school, I went to culinary school.
Oh, so school then brought you to New York?
Yeah, but where I'm from in that town, it felt like I was being choked all the time. I got a scholarship. That's what brought me to New York.
And the culinary school, did you ever do anything with that?
I tried.
I'm from a small conservative town in the South. But I'm saying like the country in the South.
Okay. Why did you come to New York?
South fucking sucks.
Oh. And what do you do other than wait tables?
I'm a graphic designer and a visual artist, but I never went to school for it. I was homeschooled, so I pretty much just taught myself.
Daisy, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Daisy, how old are you?
Just turned 27
Oh, when was your birthday?
last March.
It's February.
I know.
Oh, okay. Why did you come to New York, Daisy?
To be on Broadway Ever since I could walk, my mom would put me in dance classes. I hated dance class, but I loved being on stage. Anyway, it's been my dream since I was a little girl.
I always knew that I'd be, like an entrepreneur or some shit, but then people just kept telling me that I should, be in movies, bro. Like, be an actor and stuff. So that's what I did, bro. It's pretty fucking easy.
Yes. And what are you working on now, Andrew?
Oh, well, nothing. At the moment. I'm working on my own stuff, like building up my brand, doing me. Just living the dream, bro.
Oh, okay. Did you have to move far from home to pursue your dreams?
Oh, I'm from Jersey, bro.
Well, I came to New York because I wanted to make a change. And I knew this was the place I needed to be in order to make a difference. The ill distribution of wealth. I mean, the class oppression in the city. It all serves as a prime example of capitalistic greed. I mean, there's a complete caste system fully functioning in New York City. Look, I'm really political. Okay, I read a lot of Marx, Emma Goldman, the classics. So one day, it just hit me. I was living in my parents' condo in Southern California, and I was just so sick of seeing these spoiled, privileged boarding school brats just surf all day and smoke weed at night. So I came here to live alone and see what it's really like to struggle. I mean, these are radical times. Don't you think? I want to be a part of it. Living in New York City means you're a part of it. All of it.
Be something?
I needed to be freer,
Didn't take off.
It felt like I was being choked all the time.
South fucking sucks.
I'm really political.
Just living the dream, bro.
To be on Broadway.
Something?
Outside Albuquerque, yes.
Something.
Seriously.
Oppressive.
Something.
On stage.
Something.
Privileged.
Something.
Easy.
Well, I had just moved to the city, and I was auditioning every day and working at night. It was fantastic. The granite in the street still sparkled. Anyway, I was working at this little bistro, and one night I was waiting for my last table to leave. I had an audition in the morning for the Disney Cruise Line, and I knew that if I wanted to get seen before working lunch, I'd have to get there super early. So the tables tab was up to $250, and I really needed the money. So I was extra diligent. I refilled their waters, got them more bread, everything. So I'm just waiting for them to ask for the check. Finally, I just put it on the table. The one guy looks at it and flips it over. So I rack some glasses. And I ask, is there anything else I can get for you? He hands me 13 $20 bills and says no change. So I go back to the server station and recount the bills, because I simply cannot believe someone would tip me $10 on $250. So I go back to the table. I ask, was everything satisfactory with your service this evening? Yes. Oh, I was just wondering because your service charge was less than 5%. They asked to speak to my manager. They put me on probation and fired me the next week.
For asking if the service was satisfactory? Well, did anything happen?
I'm sorry. What?
Did you fight it?
Oh no, I was so embarrassed. I'd never been fired before.
About 6 months ago, this woman reserved a section of the restaurant for a surprise birthday party. She came in the day of, her arms full of supplies. Cake, balloons, floral arrangements, confetti. I mean, you could tell she put a lot of thought into this. That night, the guests arrive, and to our surprise, the woman is nowhere to be found. Tom and I were working, and we didn't know what to do. We seated the guests, served them drinks, and finally the woman arrives. She comes in, looks around at all of her guests, and says, "You guys," like it was a total surprise. I mean, she was throwing her own birthday party. And that's not even the worst part. Tom and I went into the kitchen to get the birthday cake, and he dropped it on the floor.
What did you do?
I put some fresh flowers around the edges to conceal any flaws. The woman bought it. I mean, she would have noticed if it was missing from the table.
How old was the woman?
She was 40, and she paid for the whole bill. She was 40, and she was so alone.
And how old are you again, Amanda?
I was working at this busy corporate restaurant in Midtown about 7 years ago. And we had this real ass of a manager. His name was Kyle or Kevin or something like that.
What happened?
Oh, I walked against the flow of the restaurant. I'll clarify. So when you walked into the kitchen, there was a definitive entrance/exit or flow to the restaurant. One night, I had to give the chef an order modification, so I rushed in the kitchen, and as I do, Kyle/Kevin stops me and says, "Did you just walk against the flow of the restaurant?" "You're joking." I tell him more so than ask him, and I roll my eyes. Apparently, this was a huge offense. "Did you just roll your eyes at me?" he asks. "Maybe you should go home."
Did you?
I said, "If you're going to send me home over something as ridiculous as rolling my eyes, then I should seriously reconsider my commitment to this institution." And he says, "You're going to have to write a note to corporate." And so I take the pen from my apron, and on the check in my hand, write "I quit" in capital letters. And I stole a bottle of white on my way out the door. The thing is, the reality of working in a restaurant is that there's always another restaurant. I mean, you can walk out, or you can get fired. You can tell your manager to fuck off and still get another job at a restaurant, within the week no less. In the long run, none of this matters. No one's going to hold a waiter's behavior against him because this isn't a real job. In the long run, Society doesn't think this is a real profession, or that we're professionals, so the rules don't apply. Things would be so much easier if waiters would just realize that it's the restaurant jobs that are disposable, not us. It's perspective. That's the only way to survive waiting tables.
What was your best tip? I thought you said you were prepared.
My best tip came from a single guy who came in to order a cup of coffee. He sat down at the table, ordered coffee, and left me a 20.
What was your worst?
Definitely been stiffed before, which blows. Had plenty of people round up to the dollar. It's a rarity you have more good tip stories than bad tip stories. What's your next question?
What was one of your bad tip stories?
I worked at this bar, Shooters, this sports bar in South Carolina. These two guys came in, these real big fat frat guys. They were hitting on me, so I flirted with them, trying to make the tip go up, whoring it out. Long story short, they ended up thinking that tipping me $4 on a $58 tab would make me go home with them and have sex with both of them at the same time. They kept being like, "You're pretty cute. Are you
what?
What?
You said they kept asking, are you? So I'm asking, what are you?
I said, if you tip me enough, I can be anything you want me to be. Of course, I was fucking with them. But then I went back by their table later, and they pulled me aside and were like, so how about that tip? Fucking $4. Next question.
Do you frequently experience that problem, Krista?
What problem?
Being hit on by men.
Whatever. It's part of the business. I guess it's just how you deal with it. I didn't hear your next question.
That's because I didn't give it to you.
What?
Not just as a woman, but as a lesbian, do you find it extremely offensive to be harassed and hit on by straight men? That's what I mean. Krista.
I don't want to do this anymore.
What?
I don't want to do this
Krista,
anymore.
As a lesbian, does it offend
I don't
you?
want to do this anymore, okay?
Krista.
I want it to stop.
No,
Make
Krista,
it
stop.
God, how do you get this
Krista,
fucking
stop.
thing off of me? I don't want to do this anymore, Mary!
Stop it, you're breaking the microphone. Stop.
From the day I started until the day I left, I thought about quitting the restaurant. I told myself it would be temporary. Temporary turned into 5 years, and for 5 years I complained and complained, but I could never bring myself to leave. And that day, something in me snapped. I simply could not do this anymore. But I knew if I walked out those doors, then I could never come back. And knowing that made me want to stay. The certainty of it all. Even though I was miserable, at least I knew what the next day held for me. I thought someone was going to chase me down the street, drag me or beg me to come back inside, some huge dramatic scene on the sidewalk. But instead, when I walked outside, it was cold and overcast. People were walking by with shopping bags, bumping me, talking on their cell phones, hurrying to get somewhere. Nobody noticed me. The world hadn't changed. The city kept moving. But I was so different. All that time, I was waiting for something or someone to come rescue me. I never thought I would be strong enough to save myself. It was like my leg had been chained to that place for 5 years, and it took me just as long to realize I was holding the key.
What have you been doing lately?
I'm auditioning. Got new headshots. I'm taking voice lessons from a friend of mine. He's giving me a discount so I could afford them. I'm trying. For real this time. I think, in the end, the thing that saved me was realizing no one was going to save me. No one was coming. No Messiah, no rapture, no resurrection. That may sound depressing, but for me it was the most liberating experience, knowing I was all alone, and if I wanted to make a change, it was up to me to do so. No hesitating. No waiting. No. I'm not waiting anymore.